do feel bad. I reference it to make it commentary. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, there is. Thank you. I have. Thank you.
False alarm 2 weeks ago, yeah. But better to be safe.
We still have time. 2 more minutes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Chumden de je jaba da jumba yanda ba zobe zanje riba da jasu demba devara sheba jigden jemba jebunde galo jurwa lana meba lada menam je tumba zanje chumden de pejawa shaja duba la chan Chudo jazo cheo tenpa chumden de deje sheba da jumba yandaba zobe sanje rikpa da shabsu dem devara sheba jeten jemba jebo debe galo jurwa lana lada menam je tenpa sanje chumden de pejawa shaja tuba la chaze lo chudo je wo demba jumden den de je jaba da jumba yang da ban zo be san je re ba dan sha zo she ba je den je ba je bo de be ga lo jor wa la na me ba la da me nam je ba san je sha ja do ba la ja ze lo chen long ja che wo Lama dang gombo zhen jambe yang cha ze lo e kange e lo te nye e ten de nyen da e nam da rab ze we che nye e den gwen je je e ze je nye je e do ga Lek ba ma en zen, ganda e se pe, ze ra e ma re, men do ma en do nye, ge ze we, cho zo guen la, po je da ra ze, yen la, zhu je, yang den song. Cho dara e je cho, nye mo e nye lo e le je e cha cho e che ze e chen. Ma re e men se to nye, nye go che nye e chen ze e ra je nam. Tene aya ta che sa ju aya ta ra sun yen den ren zo ya ze to ge ko cho zha e ju ta cho nye aya gen de da lu aya men se Jambe yang la de oma arabazana de oma arabazana do marabazana 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 Umarabazana do marabazana 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 Omara bazanade, 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 Omara bazanade. Omara bazanade, 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 Omara bazanade. Omara bazanade, Omara bazanade, Omara bazanade, Omara bazanade, Omara bazanade, Omara bazanade, Omara bazanade. Omara bazana di 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 Zenden je jera vezere je dal temo memba rapse ne kadan denju shonlu toba ye loje pobe nawa cedo seo Joje me do jama re ra le je nyen de gyamba de zanje shindo me de bewa Jogun namda jen la je bara choy. Lama damba ge nama je chugu kala kenze jenje ne. Chedara zambe duje zema la. Zavje chuje chaba abdo se. Rana menda lagan yada ya me sanje chudan zoje shonam janju bado dane jazo che dage chushin yebe sonama je Jola benje sanje jobara sho sanje chudan zoje shonama la Janju bado dane japso che dage chushe jebe sonama dola penje san dobara sho sanje judan soje shonama la chanju bado dane japso che dage chushe jebe sonama je dola penje sanje dobara sho. Good morning. Good morning here and there. Those who are online. So how was your week? I think last session we talked about loving someone without attachment. How successful were you in doing so? It's not easy, isn't it? It's very tough. I don't know how one can do that.
I think it's maybe a bit less of a challenge if it's someone who you would normally think of as someone who's a neutral, someone that you either don't know well or someone that's not necessarily close to you. I think it's a little bit easier to try to practice it.
It's a distract. Sorry. Because I fly something else, so they're distracted by that. Okay, sorry, Ken.
That's okay. Anyway, those that I feel close to, definitely I feel attached.
Yeah, that's the whole point, you see. You get attached to those loved ones, not those strangers, isn't it?
I've realized how my mother's attachment to me was a detriment to me. I see the same process with my son. So I think if I really love him, then it's actually better to be unattached. Because it gives him more freedom.
Yeah, what do you think? What is the clue there, whether one is attached or not? What is the clue? What is the sign? What is that thing that shows that, it's not just love, not care, not concern, but there is attachment?
Control.
Control, okay.
Yes.
You want to control the person, is it?
I think unconditional is the unconditional attitude. You develop that unconditional acceptance, then the more you develop that, the more you're unaffected by it.
Yeah, our love actually is very complicated, isn't it? Our love to somebody else. Because as Anthony mentioned, there's so many conditions. I do this, you must give me this back. I expect this. I have done so much for you. How come you cannot even do this little thing for me? So there's so many conditions we kind of set up. So that makes it very complicated. So here the Tibetan definition of attachment. So in psychology, of course, the attachment theory is something good, isn't it? So they talk about these different styles of attachment. And then, yeah, it's like if you have the better attachment between your mother or the caretaker, primary caretaker, and you, then you tend to have less issues when you grow up. But in Buddhism, attachment has a negative connotation. Attachment is always not really, something that we want to develop. So the definition, so there is a bit of research. When I was in university, I was, one of the assignment was to do a research proposal. So what I was doing was related to contemplative science. So I went to research whether there's any research in the field of attachment, but not really attachment. There's something called non-attachment or detachment. So there are some research there. So my proposal is that the more a person is aware of impermanent nature of things, in what you call transient nature of things, then they will be less likely to be attached, or what do you call, one will score low in attachment. So that's what I wanted to bring in, the importance of having this awareness that everything eventually ends. There is an end. Nothing lasts forever. Because from the research, you see that the suicides, when people commit suicides, when relationship fails, there also, when you really look deep down, there was no expectation. The assumption is that this will last forever. So nobody really expects that, okay, one day this will end, and then, okay, I'm okay. And then when you lose somebody, especially when you lose somebody in a certain depth, people have so much difficulty coping with that, because we always assume that this will never happen. But the more we are aware of the transient nature of things, how things are impermanent, any moment things may end. So if we have that kind of realization, the more the intense, in-depth we have realization in the impermanent nature of things, then I was saying that we will have less issue with attachment, and thereby all that consequences from the attachment. So in there, they have in the research, so they have defined like this. It of course is coming from the Buddhist perspective. It says a mental affliction. First of all, it's already affliction. A mental affliction that distorts the cognition of its object by exaggerating its admirable qualities. So one of the features of attachment is that it exaggerates the qualities and screening out its disagreeable qualities. So there was, when I was in school, we have this story about this King Akbar and this Birbal. Birbal is the minister, a Hindu minister. Akbar is a Muslim king. So we have so many stories because this Birbal is supposed to be so clever. So every now and then Akbar will test his intelligence and will pose all kinds of questions. So one time what happened was, now it's a bit vague. Something that the minister wanted to show that in the eyes of a mother, their child is the, what do you call, the sweetest, smartest, the most beautiful. So of course Akbar didn't agree. He said, it cannot be, how can an ugly child can be seen by parents as a, beautiful or handsome, whatever it is. So it's okay, let's go. So they went to, in a disguise, they went to a remote village, and then they were watching this, and out came this boy, I think, as a kind of toddler. He came out, is not a really nice looking, not a really cute boy, and he kind of fell. And then mother came running, oh my sweetie, my honey, what happened, all this. I said, look, that's what she sees him. In her eyes, she is everything. There's nothing prettier or what do you call it, smarter or the nicest thing other than her child. So that's what happens. Attachment does this when you are attached to the person. So like when you are in first kind of romance relationship, you see so many qualities. And then over the years you started to see, isn't it? That fall there. It's like, how come I didn't see all this? Because you are blinded by that attachment. So that's the problem. So that's why it is not. So normally the analogy is like attachment is so subtle that it is like the water under the current, is it? The bottom. If you have a big river or sea, whatever it is, but on the surface you can see all that movement. But below that, wherever that bottom of the, it is still running, but you cannot really see. So this is, attachment is like this. It's very subtle. And another analogy is how the oil pervade on a piece of cloth or paper. When you spill a bit of oil on a paper and see how it permeates the paper, the whole area. So you won't notice. It is so subtle. And sometimes you think that that is on our side. Attachment is a good thing. But from the Buddhist point of view, attachment is the one, or what you call the real culprit, which is the cause of all our problems. So where does this attachment come from? What is the real source of attachment? From the Buddhist perspective, what do you think?
Ego.
Ego, exactly. This grasping of this independent I, or whatever, the independent nature of things.
I think there's more than that. I think when there is a karma for the person, and whether that karma is easy or difficult. I've been divorced for 10 years. I maintain the relationship because I understand there is a karma. And therefore I serve as best as I can. And I do not expect to be served. So karma is beyond ego. It's the recognition that there is a destiny here and it should be done with skill and compassion.
Yeah. So there is role of karma, definitely. Whatever experience we are undergoing, of course, it is a result of karma. Nothing happens without karma, isn't it? That's the Buddhist bedrock of Buddhist principle. Everything is built on karma. But then how the karma was created in the past, it all boils down to ego, self-grasping. Because you have this self-grasping, you, what do you call it? As true, you build, or you perceive there's a solid I there, or solid another person, whatever it is. And then the attachment comes. Because there is something solid, you develop attachment. Because of attachment, then you engage in all kinds of actions. You engage in all the negative actions to help that person whom you are attached to. And then you engage in all kinds of negative action to protect or to defend that person when harm's on its way. So that's about it. So it's not easy, isn't it, to love somebody. I don't know how you can do that. Anyway, before this, maybe, before this we will talk this. I think it's better. Remember when it comes to developing bodhicitta, so the main goal is, of course, to develop this sense of endearment to all sentient beings. Once you are able to develop that, then you are already halfway to developing compassion and bodhicitta. But before you get there, to reach there where you are able to develop this loving kindness or the sense of endearment to all sentient beings, there are so many hurdles, there are so many what you call hindrances, there are so many blockages. So that is because of this. We are partial. When it comes to our loved ones, we have no issue, we have no problem in giving our life. Having developed we don't really need to put effort in developing this sense of endearment. It comes automatically. But then those who does not belong in that circle, then we strive, we have difficulty. So that's why in the Lamrim text, they said that you need to first develop this impartiality or the equanimity for all sentient beings. So how do we do that? These are kind of a to refresh your memory. We have covered that many times, I think. Does it seem like something new? So first is to reduce the discriminatory attitude based on labels we have created. We have so many labels created, but it all can be summarized in 3. Our foes, our friends, and then strangers. So depending on who that person is, depending on where that person belongs in, which category the person belongs to, we have different kind of attitude towards them. For our foes, we develop aversion. For our friends, loved ones, we develop attachment. And then those who are stranger to us, we develop indifference. We don't care whether good thing happens to them or bad thing happens to them. Is none of my business. So that is wrong. So first we need to remove that what you call that barrier. Remember, how do we do that? What is the prescribed method in Lamrim?
Self for others.
Yeah, that itself is up there. So, but first, just remove that. Not really.
They all are your mothers.
Yeah.
I'm cheating.
Yeah.
Rinpoche, don't you need to have a discriminatory attitude based on evidence of behavior?
Mm-hmm.
If someone is toxic to you or wishes you harm, you must have the discriminatory attitude to maintain your own existence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
In this sense, in the spiritual sense, please explain the proper discriminatory attitude of a Buddhist.
Yeah. So here we are talking about, we have created this label. We have put some group of people in this basket, another group in another basket, and whichever basket they are in, we have different approach. We have different attitude towards them. So if the category or the label we have created is reliable, it is really true, then yes, it is okay. But here we are saying that the labels we created are not that reliable label. So let's say you label somebody as your enemy. Why do you call that your enemy and then you have this animosity towards that person? It's because, oh, he did this to me. He harmed me. That's your reason. From one action, or maybe 2 action, or 3 action, in the past. Because of that, that is our reason. Because this person did this to me, oh, I don't like him. He is somebody to be hated, to be averted from. But then he says that, is it really, really, what do you call, is there real basis for that? Because enemy and friends change. Somebody can be your enemy in the past, but in the future that can become your best friend. So our reason is very narrow, focus only one thing, but that person may do something. First of all, what you perceive as harm maybe is not really harm. You take it that way. Maybe the person wanted to help you. In order to help you, maybe that is the only option. Person has to. But we fail to see that. We only focus on the actual action. He harmed me. He caused me this. He said this. I don't like him. That's one reason. And secondly, that person can become your friend. We, from our own experience, we know that people whom we are so close, people whom we cannot even afford to separate for 1 second, for 1 minute, 5 minutes, now cannot stand even 1 minute. That's true, isn't it? Especially in your relationships. The first few months, first few years, it was like, where are you going? Can I come? It's like you cannot bear to, separate distance from that person. But then there will come a time where you cannot stand that person even for 5 minutes. So you see, it is not reliable. Our reasoning is not reliable. So that's what we're trying to do. So that's the way to reduce that. So if we are able to remove that label, then we will be able to do this. We will be able to see each other without the partiality of hating some and being attached to other. That is the cause of all our problems. Because we hate somebody, because we are so attached to another group of people, that is the cause of our problem. So that's one way to do. The another way is cognitively think this way, that why are we creating this discrimination? Why are we nice to one person, one group of people, and then nasty to another group of people? Here is saying that sentient beings are equal from their side. Whether it is your friend or whether it is your enemy, from their side, they all want to be happy. So in terms of wanting happiness, it is equal. So your friends, as much as your friends wish to be happy, your enemies also seek the same. So there's no difference. On that basis, is saying that you cannot discriminate. And then the second reason is, there's no reason to discriminate from your side. Why are you discriminating them? Because from your side, they have been your mother. If we go through the seven, what do you call the link, cause and effect. So everybody, every sentient being had been our mother, not just once, so many times. In that sense, you cannot discriminate this person, that person, this person. Sometimes it is helpful when you are, let's say I always give the example of a cockroach. I don't know, cockroach is the nuisance in India, but it's not here, isn't it? So roaches, when they appear, our instinct is to either crush them or to do something about it. You can buy all kinds of sprays. People are, ingenious, coming up with all kinds of ways to kill. So when such happens, if you are able to pause and think that, oh, this could be my mother in the past life. Don't talk about your other mothers, but just this life's mother. Could be. How do you know that that is not your mother? That is the rebirth of your mother or your father or whoever is very kind to you in this life who has already died. How do we know that? That insect, that cockroach, that little mosquito is not our father, rebirth of our father. So when you are able to pause and think that way, it helps to stop. I saw on the Facebook, there was this Rinpoche, I don't know which tradition. So obviously, Rinpoche has done, his elderly Rinpoche, he has done so much retreat. And then the new retreaters, they have come to seek Rinpoche's advice. And Rinpoche was saying that it is very good that you're all, doing this retreat. I don't know, it must be 3 years retreat or whatever it is. It's very good. But he said the most important is to cultivate bodhicitta, compassion and bodhicitta. Without that, it says that whatever you do is not that, I think it's not that meaningful. So he gave an example. He says that when I was doing my retreat, so of course, doing the retreat in a cave, so there is this, obviously there's no proper window. So obviously there's some opening there, but there's no proper window to keep away the flies. It says when I was doing my retreat, the flies come in. There are so many flies. There were times where almost all his whatever exposed or whatever body is covered by flies, house flies, I guess. And he said it has made him a bit uncomfortable and it became a nuisance. And then one day, suddenly, he started to contemplate on they being the Rinpoche's mother. All sentient beings have been our mother in the past. So he started to meditate on that, and he says he says that he couldn't help but tears rolled. Tears, just he was in tears after that. And it was so helpful. He said after that, the flies, whatever number they come, he said it didn't bother him that much. And then he said after a while, they stopped coming. So there are similar stories like this. So I think it is here that when you develop real compassion for those who are causing kind of a nuisance to you, somehow that powerful compassion help to exhaust the karma to experience such nuisance. And then out of the blue, it just stops. That's wonderful. So now, instead of using those sprays, when you see any of this thing, just sit down and meditate, and hopefully it will go away. But normally, EPMT centers, I think Diana knows, EPMT center, when there are any of these problems like the rat issue, all these insects, Lama Zopa Rinpoche will advise to do a recitation. I don't know how many times of this, what's that, Diamond Cutter Sutta reading and all this, and they will do, and suddenly it will disappear. Remember with my godmother, Hui, she bought the house for the center, so it was her house where the center started. LDC center started from her house. So the next house was abandoned one. So it was like a zoo kind of thing. You will have, what is that one? That, that is not a crocodile, monitor lizard. Well, one time certainly our dog was barking, and then I came down. There at the door is a big, huge monitor lizard. It actually came from the next door house. So that house has been abandoned for many years. So there's a lot of this. So the rats keep coming. Only later we realized that because the centers, there's a dog, that was an adopted dog was there. So dog was kept at the back of the center, and then we put the food there for dog. Obviously, the rat has been eating the food, and dog, I think that somehow, yeah, it just allows. So they started to come into the center and keep, because the downstairs is the kitchen is like used for everybody. There will be talk offering, everything people bring, tea, leave it. So there's a lot of food there, and the rats come and really cause a kind of havoc. So we didn't want to do any of this. Didn't want to call the pest control or whatever it is. So over here it's so easy that you call them and just 1 week they will clear everything. But of course she didn't want to do all that. So after consulting with Rinpoche and all that, reciting I don't know how many Diamond Cutter Sutras and all that, yeah, certainly out of the blue it disappeared. But I was told that it coincides that Rinpoche sends her, she received a card of a cat. And then, yeah, after that is like kind of all that activity stopped. So the point here is that, yeah, looks like that there are other options. If you are able to really meditate and generate compassion to these sentient beings, I think the power of that somehow exhausts our negative karmas to experience all that discomfort. So that's another option. Okay, so now you have the resources, you have the means to reduce attachment. Yeah.
Recently, I saw a Rinpoche that had passed away, and he was sitting on his bed, and there was a shirt. He had a T-shirt on that said, "I destroy my enemies by making them my friends," which is actually from one of the presidents. And I thought about it for a while, and I thought equanimity is what destroys the external enemy, the internal enemy, and the secret enemy.
Yeah. Equanimity plus, first, of course, you need the equanimity, plus, on top of that, if you're able to generate that loving kindness, or the, I don't know, I think that must be the loving kindness. That's the Chamba. Remember in the Buddha's praise, when Buddha was sitting for his final meditation, the Maras brought his army to distract Buddha. Buddha's method is just meditate on metta, or the loving kindness, and that was able to, what you call, destroy that force, the Mara's force. So anyway, coming back to this one. So this is, I don't know who this Willett Gallin is or was. So I thought this is good. Our brain has developed a capacity to create for us a world of our own making and imagination. Very few of us live in the real world. We live in the world of our perceptions. That's so true, isn't it? What we see may not really match the reality. Another person sees in a completely different way. We live in the world of our perception, and those our perceptions, and those perceptions differ dramatically according to our personal experiences. We may perceive anger where there is none. If the distortion is never ever enough, we may think we are living among enemies, even while surrounded by friends. Any comments on this? So, anyway, so this is like the psychology of anger. First, you have the cognition, where you have this perception according to based on your experience, based on your perception. So we label that person. We see that person in that, the derogative manner or whatever. And then with that, the effect is anger. Then anger arises. That kind of cognition gives rise to anger, that emotion. And then with that emotion, then you decide. You want to take revenge. You want to confront. You want to criticize that person. And then, sometimes it will result in taking physical actions. The way you respond, you may hit the person. So from here you can see that what we need to tackle is that cognition. So that's what Shantideva has been doing. Shantideva has been going through what is called the process of elimination. We have so many excuses why we should be angry at that person. And Shantideva goes through each and every one and then says that, that's also baseless. There's no basis for that because it is like this and this. So we have covered quite a bit of these various scenarios or the basis. So in the last session, we covered this a little bit, but because there was interruption, the internet interruption, so I think those who are listening online, they couldn't hear. So I'm going to repeat this. Hello. You are? Claire. Okay. Is it the first time to Kachili?
First time here, yes.
Oh.
I lived in Indiana before. I went to Indiana Buddhist Center.
Okay. Okay. Please, welcome. Verse 72. So do you remember what is the verse before this?
Verse 71.
Very clever, Ken. So remember the analogy was given about that's a fire. Can somebody refresh? Can somebody kind of summarize that? There were two verses.
For example, when a fire in one house has moved to another house, it's right to get rid of straws and such things like our attachments to stuff. And the fire represents anger. Straws, attachments, and merit is like the precious things in the house, the risking, burning.
Yeah. So basically, Shantideva was saying that we need to, abandon the object of our anger or attachment. He was saying that attachment is the one that gives rise to anger. So we need to reduce, if not eliminate at all, our attachment to our, loved ones or whatever, our precious things. So this is now following this. So then we say, I cannot bear to lose these things. It is so painful to not to, let's say, to abandon my loved ones or abandon the nice things, the things that we are attached to. This is basically to let go. It's very hard. It's very challenging. It is very difficult. So then Shantideva says that here, Seje mishi laje de kede tana chi malek, kede miyi tu nyingi nyawar tena chi meleks. So if your argument is that, it is too painful, I cannot bear to lose all that, then it says, why is a man condemned to death, not fortunate if he is released after having his hand cut off? Why am I, who is experiencing human misery, not fortunate if by that I'm spared from the agonies of hell? Remember we talked about the most Google search in Russia. Remember that? What was it? How to break your arm at home. So that was the top on the Google search in Russia. Because Putin is mobilizing, recruiting people to go to war. So if you are sure that I have broken arms, then maybe you are excused. So that's why obviously people in Russia are breaking their own arms. So that's why they were finding ways how to break your arm at home. So why do we do that? Why would a person think of breaking his or her arm? It must be so painful. But then why? Because he or she wants to avoid the bigger danger, bigger risk. If he can tolerate the pain of breaking arm, then he can be excused or he can escape from going to war. In war, he may die. So this is what I'm saying, that in order for bigger goals, we always talk about in order to achieve long-term goals, we need to let go of the short-term goals. Or we say that it is okay to endure pain and hardship in order to achieve something more meaningful, bigger goals. So this is exactly what Shantideva is saying, that because we say that, it is so painful to let go of my friends, my loved ones. It is so painful. They say, it may be painful for a while, but in the long run, it is good for you. We go for how many jabs we have taken, COVID vaccine. You have already 4, is it?
Working on 5.
Yeah. So we do that. And we don't know what is that called, the side effects. I think that I developed this side effect. I don't know whether I'm allowed to say here or not. I developed this itch. There's no other reason than the COVID vaccine. So now I have to, every day I have to take this 2, Montelukast and Zyrtex. Without that, by evening, so itchy, and then just a little scratch, and you will see a line of bump that appears. So there's no other reason than this one. And I tried with different, whether it is the food. I'm allergic to food. Obviously, it's not. But still, if they are going to give the next one, I'm going to go for it. That's what we do. Like chemotherapy I mentioned, it's so difficult, so painful to go through chemotherapy. My father went through it, and I know how sick it makes you. But people do it because for a bigger purpose. So that's why Shantideva is saying, a man condemned to death isn't a person who is condemned to death, sentenced to death, is now released after chopping his hand. Amputation is better than death, isn't it? So likewise, it says, why am I, who is experiencing human misery, not fortunate if by that I'm spared from the agonies of hell? If we keep having this attachment to our loved ones and our things, then in the course of that, what will happen is we will develop so many instances of anger. And then we know that anger, the result, the ripening result of anger is to be born in lower realms. So once you are there, if you compare the suffering of, like let's say hell, it says is the suffering that we experience here is what do you call joy and happiness. It is so intense. So that's why not endure a little bit of hardship so that we can avoid, we can prevent more kind of a hellish suffering in the future. Tunyin dizam, tade tunyin dizam la, taage sobar menu na, tena nyewe tunyin ju chowa che de domi ches. Then we say, oh yeah, I see your point. I see your point that, in order to spare oneself from the bigger suffering, that there's reason to endure or bear this pain. But then you say that I cannot even bear this kind of pain. Even the tiniest pain, I cannot bear it. So if you say so, then it says, if I'm unable to endure even the mere sufferings of the present, then why do I not restrain myself from being angry, which will be the source of hellish misery? So if we really feel that way, that I cannot even bear the smallest pain in this life, let alone in the future, in the lower realms, then it says, why are you engaging in the causes? Why are you not stopping yourself from creating the causes? Because by engaging in anger, by letting oneself under the control of anger, we are actually creating karma to experience more misery in the future. So basically, Shantideva was holding our word. If that's what you want, then why are you doing so differently? You want this, but look at you. We are doing something completely different. It's clear, isn't it? Debe Tundu Segla so Nyawar Tongda Nyong Jurjang Tagi Rangi Tunda ni Shengi Tunya Maje Sos. So now here Shantideva was saying that it is meaningful, there is meaning and purpose in enduring some degree of pain. Pain in relation to what you call combating anger. But other pain, if you inflict on pain on you, of course, that's not what Shantideva was saying there. So we may experience pain and hardship when we try to fight anger, when we try to combat anger, when we try to eliminate or abandon anger, reduce anger, and attack mainly anger. Then in that course, in the course of doing that, we may undergo some hardship, but it has purpose. There is meaning. So what is the meaning here? For the sake of satisfying my desire, I have suffered numerous burnings in hell, but by those actions I fulfilled the purpose of neither myself or no others. In the past, from the Buddhist perspective, we have taken countless lives. We have become kings, emperors countless times. We have even taken a birth of what you call the king of Devas, Brahmas, Shiva, whatever. We have even taken lives of what you call nowadays modern day president or whatever it is. But we are still here. Square, isn't it? We just go round, 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 still there. No progress. And in those countless lives, we have experienced so many suffering, so much misery. But what have we accomplished? Nothing. Only accomplishment is to cycle. Come back, come back, come back, and continue. So now he said, but by those actions I fulfill the purpose of neither myself, I haven't done anything for myself, I haven't achieved any nirvana, I haven't even achieved this confidence that I won't be born in lower realms next life. How many of us are confident? How many of us can say that I am confident that I will achieve a good rebirth next life? I cannot say that. I don't know about you, but it is very, very difficult. So if we don't even have that confidence, the confidence that we will achieve human rebirth in our next life, then what more can we say? Not to mention about nirvana and forget enlightenment, isn't it? So we haven't. That's what Shantideva was pointing to us, that, in terms of experiencing suffering, we have experienced enough, but we haven't achieved anything. And we haven't achieved any, the purpose of others. So this is the time, he's saying that this is the time, at the moment, we have this, what is called conducive life, the life that is conducive to Dharma practice. We have all the inner and external facility. We have access to Dharma. We have access to various teachers. You don't even have to go to classes. You just sit at your room, in your room, switch on the computer, that's all you need. All kinds of. You can even listen to teachings from His Holiness, receive teachings. And then, most of us, we don't worry about the outside weather, whether it is cold, hot. We are very comfortable indoor with a cup of coffee with a cup of coffee in our hand, we can just enjoy Dharma, you see. So they were saying that when we have this opportunity, we really need to utilize this. We need to grab this opportunity and make sure that we are able to fulfill at least our own goal, if not the goals of others. Okay, I think we will stop here for the break. 75. So true, isn't it?
Yes. If you like some more hot water.
I have, thank you. I have no need. I think I'm okay. Thank you very much.
I know she'll bring you some chai. I think I've seen you before. Have I? Have you been to another Dharma center around town before? Maybe not.
This is my first time at a Dharma center in Minneapolis.
That was some chai.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, glad you found this. I heard you were down in Richmond.
I was.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I was very kind.
Particular foam, which is used for transporting the delicate instruments. So she's transformed these foam, that particular foam.
Right.
She has these covered.
That's really good.
So it's unique. I've never experienced a foam as far as unique. I'm surprised that she hasn't published it all the way because
But didn't you say that she was not feeling well, or she was?
I have no idea. I have not heard that.
You were going to get a ride from them several months ago.
Well, I thought she would naturally come here because she was so much a part of the original Kwacho Link.
Right.
I mean, she came to Buddhism with that retreat we went to. That was her first time exposed to Buddhism.
The White Tower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
The camp up. Oh, well, it's good that you're here. Bev.
oh, it's wonderful to be here.
I made some bread here. Are you ditching one more? Are you ditching one more? No.
Oh,
Good. Ditching one more is not.
strawberry waffle.
Ditching one more. She's ditching. Well, I can't wait. What's her name?
도지체. 맛있어, 도지체.
Yeah, I know, and I wish because I do.
Small.
Oh, okay. Stoop over to watch.
We have foam rollers, and I use those.
Oh, yeah.
I also have
Ten is 10 o'clock. Oh, yeah. I am clear. Yeah, we moved to Glenwood. It's about 2 hours. Yeah, we've got a 2-year-old. And got up early. He was really good. Yeah, what brought you to? A job.
Yeah.
Just south of Indianapolis, actually. The Indiana Buddhist Center is in Indianapolis, and then there's another Buddhist center down in Bloomington. Right. All down on this road.
I was there one time when you were still alive.
Oh, you were in Bloomington?
No,
What do you love to?
but I know the center is there.
Are you happy? Good. It's a small community.
But it's well known.
to use.
My heart is an infant today, and I never say that. Oh, and I'm allergic to wheat. I just go, that means my slang will be really. I chose not for church, and I'll be satisfied. I do not need food, thank you. I have food for thought. Yeah, well, that's what I say. My grandfather was a I won't open the door. There was a lot of eagles and stuff. It was just a great place. I love the driving there because of the rocks and the river and stuff. Rinpoche.
Yes.
When I first moved to my senior building, that was in 2020. I am in senior housing, you know, the subsidized housing for old people. And the people in that building are generally not well educated. And many of them were very angry to see me wearing a mask. I have a bad immune system. I have had 5 different COVIDs, so I always wear a mask. And they hated me, and they would yell at me in the halls, and they would say, no one wants to be around you because you're so terrible. And I just now after 2 years, they know who I am. I knew they would eventually. But that's the case of the seeming. I did not perceive them as enemies. I perceived them as unskillful.
Okay, that's good.
And so that illustrates how the enemy became friends.
Okay, very good.
So
good.
Just keep the neutral attitude. See, I was a teacher in the inner city. You know, with the gang members. I had my hair set on fire.
Wow.
Because I loved all the students. Some of them liked me. And the gang members couldn't have that, so they had my hair set on fire. So it's easy to learn the neutral attitude when you work in that kind of place.
근데 Kids Club the cousin change ba. Pasan taba yo mare. Mare.
Miss Chile samsa.
Mare. Kundu nima cousin chik tema chik chara chila so. But tema chik de miss chama so.
그사야 야 Facebook 라 직 도스마서.
Ale. Shiba ho ma so. Kundu tarin chik yo samare event do Halloween de na chik.
Liberty Center. Shunu gathering.
Shunu Kids Club re.
Halloween de Halloween ke de.
Oh. Yeah.
무슨이야? 제일 밥이 전부 다 뿌리고 나라 참참라.
그래야 말이 샤나다. 원래 좀 붙여라.
Little kids come home.
Today there's enough people here to make it worth it.
열심히 보여줘. 소소.
사실게 지니 샤이마. 암도 벌레 라고라 되라. 저도기 암도 벌레 딜 토요래.
안돼 벌레 될 토그래.
토요라.
토그 수요. 그 벌레 소소야 부차자.
Are you ready for the snow ski? Yeah.
Yes.
Where do you go to snow ski?
Sorry?
Where do you go? Do you go any kind of park or is there any designated
Well, there's
place?
parks that groom the snow, and there's also parks there when there's no natural snow, they make snow.
Oh.
And because the winters have been milder, it's really helpful for skiers in Minnesota. There's places you can go and ski like that. But Elm Creek Park, Worth Park, Highland, and now on the east side of town, Battle Creek Park, they all make snow. But there's other parks around too where they groom the snow. And there's these big machines that they use to make it good for skiing for both the classical and the skating skiers. So lots of places to ski. Some hilly, some flat. Anyway, you can get out in the woods, it's very, very pretty. Even when the weather's really cold, it's often very nice. So yeah, I'm ready for the snow. How about you?
I am okay. This year I don't feel I am not looking forward to winter somehow. I'm getting old and I kind of don't like the snow that much. Yeah. It's not.
Yeah, I understand. It gets in your bones.
Yeah.
Nobody likes snow except Ken.
Yeah.
Well, I have a number of friends who are like that. You know, on the big ski races, there's sometimes thousands of them that are out there with me.
Of course
Do
you
you go
are.
as a group, like a team, or do you go
No,
individually?
but there's if you do ski races, after a while you get to know people.
Oh.
I coach, I teach people to ski, so I know people that way. And I just have a number of friends that I've skied with over the years. In fact, at Elm Creek, where I ski a lot, I see the same people there a lot. And some of them I don't even know their names, but I've skied with them for years. You know, I know them, just don't know their names.
Nice to meet you and welcome to Kachuning.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have you communicated before? No, yeah. Oh, okay.
No.
How did you come to know about
walk on the lake or
the
something
center?
Well, I was looking for Sangha here, and we moved to Minnesota, about 2 hours west of here, back in August. And before that, it had been too long since I had really been practicing. So when I came here, Geshe Jinpa is sick, and I wasn't able to go down to see him, and it got me thinking that it's been too long. So I started looking, and I found Geshe Jinpa Sonam.
He's from?
He's from Drepung.
Oh.
I think he's from Drepung. He was
Rosaline Goma?
Yeah, he was from Ladakh.
Oh, must be from Gomang.
Gomang, yeah.
Gomang Monastery, okay.
Yeah.
So Drepung we have two monasteries in Drepung. Loseling Monastery and Gomang Monastery. So I'm from Loseling Monastery.
Oh,
yeah.
He's from the other Drepung.
Oh yeah, he's from the Gomang, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know his name, but if I see, maybe I know him. Yeah.
He's actually going back to India right now to see if he can get Tibetan medicine to help.
Oh, I see,
So we'll see.
I see. So now you have moved to Minneapolis? Or?
We moved to Glenwood, so about 130 miles west of here.
Oh, so how long does it take for you to come here?
2 hours, but it's a good one.
Wow.
That's a long
Yeah.
ways.
So sorry, and then I went to the wrong place. I went to.
Yeah, I got the text message now. Yeah, you went to the business center.
Yes.
Our business center. Yeah.
So you could probably watch us online too. You can't drive if you're
Yeah.
convenient in the winter time.
That's probably what I'll do.
Yeah. It's just too far for you. Yeah, too long to drive.
But I wanted to meet everybody.
Yes. Yeah. Once in a while you can do that.
Right. But thank you for offering these teachings.
Thank you.
I'm Anthony Clark. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Anthony.
Did I hear a gong? Bev, did you hear a gong?
There was a television.
Did you hear a gong?
Gong
Yeah,
show.
gong show.
Gong show.
I heard that.
Who was it? John
I don't hear much. I heard that.
That's Ken's favorite instrument.
It is.
We are on this, isn't it? Okay. So we have Claire here, who has driven all the way from, what was that one? Glenwood, which took her 2 hours. That's the die-hard, Dharma die-hard.
The way to the root or
West.
west.
Towards Fargo. Oh, yeah. It wasn't a bad drive. It was a nice drive.
Okay, so now we are on the final verses under the subtopic of where is it? Subtopic of the benefits of patience. So this all comes under the benefit of patience. So this subtopic is divided into 3 subtopics. So which is like the first one, it says that that means I have to strive in order not to diminish my virtue or merit, and then to endure even the smallest hardship, and then finally to rejoice in the in enduring the hardship. So this is what we are now at. Dinin dizam ne minla Tuanjian Tajian Drupjurwe, Drove Nurse Tunyela, Gawabashi Diricharix. But now, since great meaning will accrue from harm which is not even a fraction of that, I should indeed be solely joyful towards such suffering that dispels the harms of all. Do I need to say any more? It's so clear, isn't it? So that's the challenging part when you teach in English, because it's already translated. So you are just repeating, being redundant. Whereas in Tibetan, even though we have all this in Tibetan language, but not many will understand. It is all in a kind of poetry word. So if you are able to explain that, that is already good. But here is now already translated. So if I say any more, it is like, yeah. So there was an incident because some of the elderly teachers, when they teach, sometimes they don't realize that they already have translated works. So they are really trying their best to explain. And those who are, it's already here. Nothing more. So that's the challenge.
I think the challenge is actually doing this.
Yes. Yeah. So actual doing is a challenge. Otherwise, if it's not a challenge, we wouldn't be here, isn't it? We all wouldn't be here. So basically, we need to rejoice instead of developing this kind of aversion. Instead of, oh, I cannot, endure pain. So basically saying that we need to develop resilience. It is not easy. Nobody said that it is going to be easy. It is difficult. It is challenging. But then we need to see in that perspective that whatever harm or whatever pain we are going through now is just a fraction of what we may have to endure if we don't put that effort, if we don't endure that hardship. It is not easy, and especially your enemy. The Lojong teaching says that you have to revere that person as your guru, your teacher. How can we do that, isn't it? It is very challenging, but it is not impossible.
I think I would say if I had to do it that way, what I would do is I would take my enemy and I would put him into the embodiment of my own guru, and then I could do it. But if I saw the formation, the appearance of this being, I couldn't do it. No way, because I wouldn't have any reference point.
Whatever works for you, please. You go ahead.
It does seem that you have to realize the emptiness of self to really, because otherwise it's coming.
Yeah. Remember the advantage of realizing the empty nature of things is that, so at the moment you see that person as your enemy, and because I think whatever that person does is to you, it's wrong, something mistake, some fault, or something else. But even, or let's say bad quality. So, but if we are able to really examine that, what is bad quality? What is nasty? What is good? What is bad? What is evil? It's all a label. So I think in Tibetan we have culture there here is that recently I lost weight. I think those whom have seen me before, I lost like 10 kilos. Oof. Yeah, because I went on to do this intermittent fasting. Anthony knows. Yeah, I lost. And then, yeah, for me, I am the type that very easy to lose weight. It's like this. But very hard. Of course, some people envy that, isn't it? So I can eat and eat, but I won't put on weight. So when Tibetans, some of the Tibetans, when they saw me, they're so worried. What happened to you? No. So I said, oh, you cannot, you must eat. So because our tradition, if you are, what do you call, big, if you are put on weight, it's good. Wow, very good. You look well. If you lose weight, it's like, are you sick? So you see, fat is just gaining weight. From different culture, it can be good, it can be bad. So when you see that way, yeah, it's like just a label.
from different your experience, your culture, all this. Yeah, so that is the case. There were other examples. No, I think. Are you familiar with Britain Got Talent? So there was this. I think some African country. There's this guy who is the comedian. He's very funny. So one of his joke is that he says in his country, so when you see a person who has put on weight, so first thing they will ask is, where did you get the food? where can I get the food that you eat? So it's like this. So that's why it's of course. So first thing is the root of all this is because we have this grasping, self-grasping. We grasp the solid I there. If we feel that it is just a mere label, I is just a mere label given to the what you call the aggregate of the not the what you call the composite of all the aggregates. Yeah, if you're just able to see that as a mere label, our attachment, our grasping will be much lesser. But because we really view it, another example, how shall I say it? Yeah, anyway, yeah, I think it's clear enough. So the stronger our grasping at I, then the stronger the ego is. The stronger the ego, what happens? Stronger the attachment, isn't it? Then the stronger the attachment, what happens? Then all this discrimination comes. All these actions of aversive action and what is the other one? The attachment. We will be so attached to those who are kind to this independent I, this I. And then those who cause little harm, it's like cannot stand. So anger, if you have less attachment, you have less anger, isn't it? Like this phone. If you have a new phone, a nice phone. No, let's not. I think car. When you have a new car, even somebody a little bit of a scratch, you get so angry, isn't it? But when your car is like 10 years old, and even somebody just put a huge dent in there, you look, okay, it's okay, isn't it? You don't feel that. It is all because of your attachment. Stronger the attachment, more suffering, more angry one becomes.
I think it is hard sometimes to curb anger. A lot of what he's talking about is describing your reaction of anger towards someone who harms you. And it's hard sometimes to logic my way through the same reaction of anger when I see someone hurting someone else.
You mean saying it's not to you personally, but when you witness somebody hurting another person, so you get
feel the anger and hatred, which is
yeah. So the question is does it help? You're being angry at that person. So the I think the common what do you call it? Easiest way is that common sense. So you're getting angry and all this. Does it solve the problem? It won't, because that guy is still going to harm the person. And even if you take action out of anger, it's very risky. You don't know the consequences. Out of anger, your action becomes rash. You may become impulsive. And then, yeah, instead of helping, it may cause problem. But if you are able to calm down and then able to come up with a clear mind, some option or some ways with your clear mind without being clouded by anger and that intense emotion, maybe you may be able to come up with a better way to help the other person. So basically, Shantideva is saying that anger, even though in the West, yeah, I think there are people who believe that anger is a good thing. But Shantideva is saying that anger is never a good thing. It may sometimes help you to take action, but it is always a problematic when you do it with anger. You can use that as a catapult, but then, yeah, you have to really calm down when you are really doing action. What do you think?
I think the idea of using compassionate subduing, through the force of your wind channel force of power, and then there's the wind force of force, and the power empowers you to do good, and the force empowers you to resist, which is negative.
So
I think you need to apply skillful means to whatever situation you experience, experiences, attitudes.
Yeah, always apply skillful means.
You could see it like a television set. Everything outside means just actors playing, and maybe those two fighting are just, having fun. So my misinterpretation of, because I don't even know myself, inside myself, what's going on.
Yeah.
How can I possibly know?
Yeah, sometimes, the person who is harming the other person, to us to us it seems like that person is the bad one, but you never know whether who is the real culprit, or who is the real one who's causing problem. We never know. So anyway, yeah, remember the Shantideva has gone through so many techniques. One of them is that to think this way, the crazy person. When a crazy person acts rashly or does something unimaginable, something out of the norm, we don't get angry because we rationalize that, oh, something is wrong. His brain is not functioning well, so we excuse them. So Shantideva, that's why Shantideva says that whoever is acting out of anger is also because he is not himself or she is not herself, because the anger has taken over. So it is the anger that is making the person do. So that way, yeah, if you are able to think that way, maybe, yeah, it will be able to kind of cool us down. The most important is not to get angry, no matter what it is. Remember, the anger, unlike other negative or other afflictions, anger is the worst. And we have covered that twice now.
So remember, Shiva, what comes to mind for me is, in terms of things like social action and politics and things like that, you see people using anger to galvanize people, to get them riled up and angry so they act. So, on one side you have the Trumpies who, very angry and they're mad at the other side and very angry and very, very destructive. But there are those, for example, who believe in social justice and these moral values, and they get very angry about this stuff in order to get other people riled up to take action. And to the extent that it gets people moving, well, of course it's a good thing, but it always seems to do more than that. And that's the problem.
Yeah, but we saw what happened. Because of that, out of anger, what happens is storm the capital, which is like unimaginable in America happening that, isn't it?
Well, I think about, for example, on college campuses where people with progressive ideas and thoughts want to silence those who disagree with them because they're doing harmful things, and so they shout them down so they can't talk.
Yeah.
And of course, that's harmful as well in its own way.
Yeah.
So.
But it all comes down to, you see, I, isn't it? Because of I, my view, this is my view, and because it is my view, must be right. Whatever view that is not aligning with mine must be wrong, or must be somebody I need to oppose or take action against them.
I see anger as coming from the third chakra energy. The three lower chakras have to do with survival. When you get to the third chakra, there is the ego. But when there's anger, if you take that energy and pull it up to the heart center where Avalokiteshvara resides, you can actually melt your anger away in the beautiful radiance of Avalokiteshvara if you choose to know it's all a matter of energies.
Okay. I don't know where there's this different chakras. So
I have not read this. This is just how I practice.
Yeah, okay. That's why I'm saying whatever helps you.
Yeah.
So the main goal is to, help us get rid of the anger.
Energy and transmute it to a higher vibration.
Yeah, for some people, if they do that kind of visualization, it helps them. For some people, breathing helps. Some people, cognitively thinking helps. So whatever works for you, please go ahead. The goal is to reduce anger and eventually to eliminate or get rid of it. Okay, let's see. So here it says, but now, since great meaning will accrue from harm which is not even a fraction of that, I should indeed be solely joyful. So we need to rejoice instead of feeling, unhappy and feeling this dreadfulness, sense of dreading, is it? Sense of dreadingness? Is there such a word?
Sense of dread.
Sense of dread. Yeah. Instead of feeling the sense of dread, we should embrace it and, take it with joy and then rejoice that, whatever I'm doing I'm doing for the future good. It is not easy, it is painful, but I will reap the benefits in the future. So now we are going into a different topic. Remember, I was saying that Shantideva is doing this process of elimination. So now Shantideva goes on to say that, where is that? So this is now one of our reasons why we get angry at another person, is that that person is like, we get angry because somebody is benefiting our enemy. Remember, our way of thinking is really, in a way complicated, in a way very, what is that called? Very creative, because we have reason to hate the person. We normally call this 9, what do you call that? 9 things. He has harmed me in the past, is harming me now, will harm me in the future. And then what is that? He's harming my loved ones, harmed in the past, harming now, will harm in the past. That's 6. And then he's helping my enemy. He helped my enemy in the past, He's helping now, he will help in the future. So these are the 9 reasons why we get angry at another person. These are the reasons. So here Shantideva is talking about one of them. Here is like when somebody benefits our enemies, so we get angry. So Shantideva is saying that there is no justification for that kind of anger. Shengi yonden ten ne kedi gawe te topna yi kyo kyang ni te ne chichir tedar game jes. Chichir tedar game jes. This is the one. Should someone else find joyous happiness upon praising my enemy as an excellent person, why mind do you not praise him too, and likewise make yourself happy? So he basically saying that, so praising another person, praising your enemy can be a cause to make you happy. So then why not you adopt that? Why not you engage in that? Because he says, should someone else find joyous? When somebody praise somebody, so when your praise is genuine one, you really find joy in listing the other person's qualities. You really admire the person's quality. So when you, say all this out loud, when you tell the qualities of that person when you praise the person by listing the qualities, you yourself, the one who is praising, will also enjoy and kind of find joy in doing that. That's what I say. Should someone else find joyous happiness upon praising my enemy as an excellent person, then why are you angry? The other person who is praising your enemy is finding joy in doing that. And since you also want joy, why not you do that? Why not you follow the example of the other person and start singing praise of your enemy? Because doing that, you may also find joy, and that will make you happy. Instead, if you choose to be jealous, so you will suffer. Because when you are feeling jealous of that other person, you cannot control the other person. Other person will continue praising your enemy. You have no control over it. But seeing this, you get riled up. You get so jealous. And then what happens? You lose your sleep.
You get mad at your friend.
You
lose friends.
Yeah, you lose friends, you lose your sleep. Should someone else find joyous happiness upon praising my enemy as an excellent person, why mind do you not praise him too, and likewise make yourself happy?
I use a skillful means of seeing the absurdity of the enemy, and I laugh at the absurdity of it.
Oh, okay.
So I find enjoyment in a different way.
So there are 2 versions. One is what I explained. So another version is like this. Anyway, how this come into, how this stanza follows the connection is this. So one way is like, when somebody praise my enemy, I cannot bear it. So that's the connection. Then Shantideva says, in that case, then he says this. Because when somebody praise my enemy, the enemy will, what's that, revel, is it? Revel, and because revel,
Yes.
relish, is it?
Relish, yeah.
Relish, yeah, he will relish in that praise. Oh, I have this and this quality. Oh, so you cannot bear to see that. So that's why I say, I'm angry. So that's what she says, Shantideva says. Why don't you see that the joy part? The other person, the one who is singing the praise, he also get joy. He also find joy in doing that. So likewise, you should do so. Oh, you should do so. I forgot to put this. You should do so so that you can also find joy and happiness. That's good logic, isn't it? Oh, break again. Kyuji gawe tewadi tejung kana mato me yunden tenpa namgi nang shendu bai chogyang yin. So now it says first Shandideva said that, oh, you should really cultivate that joy. So now the question is, aren't we supposed to let go of all this attachment, all this joy thing? Isn't it supposed to the root of all our sufferings? So in order to answer that, or in order to refute that, this is what Shantideva says. That joyous happiness of yours would be a source of joy, not something prohibited. So in Tibetan word is called kanamatoa. Kanamatoa, the meaning is that it is so, what do you call, no, it is so unholy that you cannot utter in front of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So these actions, so like negative actions, so these are called kanamatoa. Kanamatoa, the Tibetan word is kanamatoa. The literal, the how it is explained is that it is so negative that you cannot even utter these things, you cannot even mention these things in front of the holy beings. So anyway, it means that this kind of joy, the joy that you derive from praising another person, is not prohibited, is not kanamatoa, it is not negative. It is actually a source of joy. And even Buddhas have allowed that, permitted that. Buddhas have said these are okay to do. And also, such praising another person, is also one of the means to gather disciples. When bodhisattvas, when they have to, bodhisattvas' main goal is to benefit sentient beings. But there are means, skillful means to gather disciples. If you have no followers, if you have nobody to listen to your teachings, then there's no way you can help, isn't it? I can come here every day and I can just teach, but what is the point if there's nobody, isn't it? So likewise, Bodhisattva needs a disciple. Bodhisattva needs people to listen to him. So there are four means. The first is to, nyambarmao means to speak kindly or to speak nicely or to speak praise. No, first one is give material things. So if the people, if sentient beings need material health, then you give them, engage in giving. And then we have a prayer, it says that first you help them with materials because they may not be ready for Dharma gifts. Once you have frequented that person, when you have become more familiar, and then when you see that it is okay to give some Dharma instructions, only then you give Dharma. So the first thing is to help them if they need in material things. Then once that person is friendly, then you need to speak to the person in a skillful way. So you need to say nice things about the person. And then third, once you have done that, and then you started to give the actual Dharma. But that is not enough. whatever you are teaching, you also must practice what is called walk the talk, isn't it? Yeah, you need to walk the talk. So these are the four means. So when you are able to praise your enemies, then what will happen is others will also see your quality. It is not a common quality. When you're able to do that, then they will develop faith and respect in you. And then, yeah, they will follow you. That's when you will be able to benefit them in a Dharma way. So that's what it means by, and the supreme means for assembling others. It's time now. Ken has been looking. Okay. 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 We will cover this and then maybe we will stop. I don't know. There's still a bit more. Okay. So now it says Farugi Yunden Las. So it says that it's not that, I don't like the qualities of the other person. It's just that I cannot bear the other person to receive that kind of joy, to experience joy. If that is your stand, then Shantideva says here, Kyoji gawe dewa di manono, shenyang tedar tegyur she, kedi kyodi di midu lanyi chinso pangbechir tongda ma tong nyambar jorur shechen. So if you say that the main reason why I'm angry at the person is that I cannot bear to see the other person enjoy that joy and happiness. If that is the reason, then it says, it is said that others are made happy through being praised in this way, but if in this way you do not want them to have this happiness. So if that is your stand, then Shantideva's refutation is here. Then since it makes them happy, you should cease giving wages and the likes to your servant. And you would be adversely affected both in this and future life. So if that is your main point, that you want others to be happy, then why do you give wages? Why do you pay wages and why do you give gifts to other people? If you have a helper at home, you pay them, you give money, you buy gifts for them. Why do you do that? Because that makes them happy. If you are against others being happy, then you shouldn't be even making others happy, even your helpers, because you have something against others being happy. And if you do that, if you stop, making others happy, what will happen is you would be adversely affected. In what way? Both in this and future lives. Isn't it? If you have a maid, if you stop paying them, they will stop coming. You will end up doing all the works. That's why we have something called reciprocal, isn't it? This concept of reciprocity, where, I give you this, you give me this. So we make each other happy. So then there will be no such thing. We don't have the need of this reciprocity.
That would be a free trade exchange.
And then in this life you will suffer, and future life you will suffer as well. So that's about it. So we will stop here for now, for today, and then I think this will be the final session of this Shantideva's chapter 6 for this semester. Remember, from next week, according to the schedule, it is Guru Yoga, Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga teaching. So we will stop here. And then, yeah, I think I have allocated 3 sessions for the, no, 2 sessions, and then the final session is empty. So we will see what we should do. If I couldn't finish the Guru Yoga session in 2 sessions, then we will continue on the third session. If not, maybe we will party.
When is the test on chapter 6, the final exam?
Yeah, I am more than happy to give you an exam.
I think the test your everyday life. You need to pass that test.
We should say the dedication prayers. We'll begin with first verse of the short mandala offering, and then do the dedication prayers.
Joje medo dama dira leje nyende gemba de sanje shindu migdim biwa ye dogwe namda shinla jubara jo Guru rana mendala gana yada ya me Rinpoche maje ba namaje joroje keba nyamba meba ya gone kondo pewara sho Koze rabden jen namgara tele jojo geba da loza tembe dweme sazum Trime ze dado ne joroje Rave gorve jengamanzo Pendan dewa malu jongwe ne Chere zenwan tenzen yazo ye Jabe sede bado ten joro che Jedara gemba dan Gondo zambo deyan dejen do Deda gwenge jezo dalom che Gyawan deda tamje rabdo ngo Dezon shekbe gyawa tamje Ngowa gala chodo ngaba de dage ngewe tsawan de gwenja Zangbo jeje rabdo ngoba yes. Okay, thank you. Mm-hmm.